a service of Editor and Publisher magazine. Since 1884, the authoritative voice of news publishing. And a warm welcome from Tampa Bay, Florida. I'm Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P Magazine. Quick housekeeping, if you're enjoying our video podcasts, E&P Reports, by all means, please subscribe to the audio channel, the podcast channel you're listening to now. If you're watching it via YouTube, I urge you to click below to the subscribe button and then hit that little bell next to it, which is for alerts, and you'll be kept up to date each and every time we post another edition of E&P Reports. Which brings you to this segment's topic, a company called Talking Glass Media. I'm going to take you to Prescott Valley, Arizona, about 90 miles north of Phoenix, about 60 miles southwest of Flagstaff, pretty close to that beautiful town of Sedona. And I'm going to introduce you to their editor, Guy C. Roginson. And the reason this story is fascinating is it's not your typical news publishing website. There is a daily newspaper in this region that does the hard news. This is not an alternative weekly. This is just a website with millions and millions of page views a year that focuses on the positive news and supports the events and the happenings of the area. But Talking Glass Media is a pretty darn large operation because it's not just a website, it's podcast, it's video, it's digital billboards. It was, Guy's background is not from the traditional side of our industry. Guy came out of a digital agency. So he sees the world in a different paradigm and he looks at media in a different way. And he's built this very, very successful media company that is part of a larger company, the Fane Signature Group, which takes that Talking Glass moniker, that name, and has popped it on luxury apartments in the area and even a local downtown event center. Fascinating, interesting, and a brand new way to approach media as being more involved in the community and less worried about the niche you occupy in the media sphere. You may love this segment, resent it, think it's not part of our traditional media world, but I think the next 30 minutes will be eye-opening as I go one-on-one with the executive editor of Talking Glass Media, LLC, Mr. Guy C. Roginson. Guy Roginson, it's so good to have you back with editor and publisher. You were part of a webinar we did recently, but the news coming out of your company is I think is worthy of an E&P Reports one-on-one. When I started reading about your company and doing research, I would call you a sleeping giant on steroids. Maybe I'm giving you too much credit, but Talking Glass Media, why don't you give us a little bit of background on what this is? You're in Prescott, Arizona, am I right? And what you do there?
That's correct. We're in Prescott, Arizona. If you say Prescott, they know you're from probably New York.
Okay, so Prescott, I got it.
Appreciate that, and honor to be here once again with you. Talking Glass Media was formed by the Fane Signature Group of Prescott Valley in 2018. The Fane Group is one of the first homesteading families from the 1870s up here. They were originally ranchers, but now one of the leading community builders. And to be quite honest about it, we were just kind of fed up with the negativity in the media and all the fantastic things that were happening in Prescott Valley, Arizona, and decided to create an all good news website. So our first publishing platform, if you will, was SignalsAZcom, which is you originally, how you found me through our hometown. And now we also publish TG Magazine, Talking Glass Magazine, as well as a podcast. And the most recent new thing we just launched is the Town of Prescott Valley Recreation Guide for the town in partnership with them. So we're doing quite a bit.
All right. So talk to me about SignalsAZcom. This
Sure.
is a news website, but you said to counter the negativity. What is your slant? If any of us were to visit SignalsAZcom, what are we going to see and what we're going to feel, and what are you offering?
Well, it's not about what you're going to see, it's about what you're not going to see. What
Okay.
you're not going to see is divisive talk. What you're not going to see is political rant. What you're not going to see is car crashes, drug arrests. Um, we have great relationships with our police departments and our fire departments, but we let them do their daily job. What we do is we share, say, their training methods or what their wins are. So it's really about community. People move here for quality of life. We're seeing that in droves, and they're not interested in the bad news. They want to get out of town. They want to get outside. And that's what we're all about, is the good news and what's happening in the community.
What kind of traffic does SignalsAZ.com get right now?
It's not bad. So our community is comprised predominantly of 4 towns or cities, if you will. We call that the Quad Cities of Central Arizona. And if your listeners and readers are wondering where Prescott Valley is we're almost dead center Central Arizona. So if you look on a map, we're right next to Prescott, Arizona, a little bit larger than Prescott. And our region in Yavapai County is comprised of about 250,000 people. And we do a little over 3.9 million page views a year. That was in 2020. We're tracking to do 4.2 to 5 million page views this year. So for a little town or a little area of 250,000 people, and we have a reach throughout the state and country for that matter, we're doing pretty good.
Before we explore the rest of Talking Glass Media, I want to stay on Signals AZ, because that is you would consider that your local daily updated news product. Am I right? This is a
hyper-local daily good news product reaching throughout the state.
Is there an email push? How often do you do it?
We have a newsletter, if that's what you're referring to. So our weekly newsletter is integrated with our web platform that is provided to us by our hometown, which we love. Mm-hmm. And so it makes it very easy for us to push out the top news stories, and most importantly, events. We're a big events community, getting outside because our natural setting here is beautiful. And we have an opt-in free newsletter that's growing exponentially, actually. So
how large is the database of that puppy? What do you got?
Sorry?
How large? How many subscribers?
I think we're in the ballpark of 3,000 to 4,000 right now. It's only a couple of years old. It's a 100% opt-in. We're adding anywhere from 50 to 300 new opt-ins weekly, actually.
Social media footprint, Google, Facebook. There's
whatever.
I had to know. Well, yeah, well, Google's more of a search engine, in my opinion, but they do have a social media platform. Facebook. What do you got? You got like what kind of footprint there in Twitter?
We have it's growing again exponentially. So Facebook's our #1 social media referrer. Mm-hmm. Very specific there. Mobile Facebook, I should say, is our #1 social media referrer. We have about 7,700 followers or 7,100 followers, something like that. Our #1 refer is organic search through Google. Really? Okay. We have a Twitter presence, but be honest with you, Facebook and organic is our dominant refer network.
How many on staff? Who's contributing content? And let's stay first with just the SignalsAZcom product.
Sure. So strictly for Signals AZ, we're a lean and mean machine. I have 1 full-time digital assistant editor. We have 1 contract social media director, myself, 2 salespeople, including myself. And that's about it from the Signal side.
Well, who's the content itself? Do you have any contributing writers, or are you just generating it all?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So, most of our columns are contributors, whether that's Ken Lane, who's really well known up here in Central Arizona for Waters Garden Center, to our This Day in History column, as you know, and others. So we have multiple contributors.
All right. So revenue, all ad-based? That's where you're making your money?
No. So my history and my background is in digital marketing and has been for over 10 years. So I was kind of a built-in ad agency when I came on board, and always have been. I never looked at us as a single platform. I was brought on board to spread good news, and there's multiple platforms to leverage. And so that's what we've been building for the past 3 years. Our anniversary actually was March 1st. We've only been doing this 3 years. We're garnering over 4 million page views annually. And we have SignalsAZcom. We have our magazine, our printed rec guide, and all our social media. So we provide a host of services. If you go to talkingglass.media, we're basically an ad agency that happens to own a leading publishing platform